Akasan's Honest Reactions. I am Akasan.
And you desu.
Here we go. So we're gonna get into something you guys have been asking me forever to react to. I don't know why. It's not like I live in. Oh wait, I do live in Japan.
Yeah.
The history of Japan. Let's take a look at. It's either gonna go one way or another. It's either gonna be really educational or it's gonna be ridiculously stupid. I don't know, but they want me to watch it.
Okay.
So we shall see.
Well, FYI, I graduated school like a while ago, so history.
That's funny.
Yeah, my history knowledge might not be too accurate, but I'll try.
We'll see what's up. We'll see. Well, let's see.
Right.
I will be the guy to go to for everything Japan, regardless.
You know more about it.
Japan's an island by the sea filled.
That would be kind of funny.
Not funny for you, not for me.
In the year -1 billion, Japan might not have been here. In the year -40,000, it was here, and you could walk to it, and some people walked to it.
Really?
Then it got warmer, some icebergs melted, it became an island, and now there's lots of trees, because it's warmer. So now there's people on the island, they're basically sort of hanging out in between the mountains, eating nuts off trees, and using the latest technology, like stones and bowls. Ding Dong is the outside world, and they have technology from the future, like really good metal and crazy rice farms. Now you can make a lot of rice really, really quickly. That means if you own the farm, you own a lot of food, which is something everybody needs to survive. So that makes you king. Rice farming and rice kingdoms spread across the land all the way to here. The most important kingdoms were here, 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 and here. But this one was the most important, ruled by a heavenly super person, or emperor for short. Knock knock, get the door, it's religion. The new prince wants everyone to try this hot new religion from Reactors. Please try this religion, he said. No, said everybody.
Really?
Try it, he said. No, said everybody again, quieter this time. And so the religion was put into place, all the rules that came with it. Then the government was taken over by another clique, and they made some reforms, like making the government govern more, and making the government more like China's government, which is a government that governs more. Hi China, they said. Hi dipshit, said China. Can you call us something else other than dipshit, said Japan. Like what, said China. How about sunrise land, said Japan. And they stole China's alphabet and wrote a book about themselves. And then they wrote poetry and art and another book about themselves. Then they stopped moving the capital every time the emperor died and kept it.
That's true.
Get that squared away. A rich hipster named Kukai is bored with modern Buddhism, visits China and learns a better version, which is more spiritual. Comes back, reinvents the alphabet, and causes art and literature to be great for a long time. And the royal palace turned into such a dream world of art that they really didn't give a shit about running the country. So if you live outside the palace, how are you supposed to protect your shit from the criminals? Hire a samurai. Everyone started hiring samurai. Rich, important people hired samurai. Poor people who could not afford to hire samurai did not hire samurai.
Yes.
The samurai became organized and powerful, more powerful than the government. So they made their own military government.
The shogun, yes.
Still being emperor.
Meiji restoration.
Actually in control. Breaking news: the Mongols have invaded China. We've invaded China. Please respect us, or else we might invade you as well. Okay, said Japan. So the Mongols came over, ready for war, and died in a tornado. But they tried again, and had a nice time fighting with the Japanese, but then died in a tornado. Then the emperor overthrows the shogunate, then the shogunate overthrows him back and moves to Kyoto and makes a new shogunate. And the emperor can still dress like an emperor if he wants, that's fine.
Major restoration, right?
Less colors, collaborative poetry, plays, monkey fun, tea parties, gardening, architecture, flowers. It's time for who's going to be the next shogun. Usually it's the shogun's kid, but the shogun doesn't have a kid, so he tries to get his brother to quit being a monk and be the next shogun. He says okay, but then the shogun has a kid. So now who's it gonna be? Vote now on your phones. And everyone voted so hard that the palace caught on fire and burned down. The shogun actually didn't care, he was off somewhere doing poetry. And the whole country broke into pieces.
Really?
Everyone is fighting with each other for local power, and it's anybody's game. Knock knock, it's Europe. No, they're not here to take over. They just want to sell some shit, like clocks, and guns, and Jesus. They're still fighting each other for control, now with guns. And wouldn't it be nice to control the capital, which right now is puppets, with no one controlling them. This clan is ready to make a run for it, but first they have to trample this smaller clan, which is in the way. Surprise, the smaller clan wins, and the leader of that clan steals the idea of the capital and invades the capital. And it goes very well. He's about halfway through conquering Japan when someone who works for him kills him, and then someone else who works for him kills them, and that guy finishes conquering Japan.
Wow!
He confiscated everybody's swords, and made some rules. And now I'm going to invade Korea, and then hopefully China, he said, and failed, and also died. But before he died, he told these 5 guys to take care of his 5-year-old son until he's old enough to be the next ruler of Japan. And the 5 guys said, yeah, right, it's not going to be this kid, it's going to be one of us, because we're grown-ups. And it's probably going to be this guy, who happens to be way more rich and powerful than the others. A lot of
that was Donald Trump!
They have a fight, and he wins, and starts a new government right here.
Wow.
And he still lets the emperor dress like an emperor and have very nice things. But don't get confused. This is the new government, and they are very strict.
Tokyo.
So strict they close the country. No one can leave, and no one can
Right,
come in,
okay.
except for the Dutch if they want to buy and sell shit. But they have to do it right here.
Oh.
Now that the entire country was not at war with itself, the population increased a lot.
Wow.
Business increased, schools were built, roads were built, everyone learned to read, books were published, there was poetry, plays, sexy times, puppet shows, and Dutch studies. People started to study European science from books they bought from the Dutch. We're talking geography, skeletons, physics, chemistry, astronomy, and maybe even electricity. Over time, the economic and cultural prosperity began to gradually slow down.
Oh, really?
Not
And here we go, yep.
States,
America.
boats, with guns.
Yokohama, baby, with big black ships.
Stop
Yeah.
having it be closed, said the United States. There was really nothing they could do, so they signed a contract.
Yep.
That was it.
Russia, visit Japan anytime they want. Choshu and Satsuma hated this. That sucks. They
Yeah,
said, this
yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
And with almost very little outside help, they overthrew the shogunate and somehow made the emperor again and moved him to Edo, which they renamed Eastern Capital.
Tokyo.
They made a new government, which was a lot more Western. They made a new constitution that was pretty Western, and a military that was pretty Western. And do you know what else is Western? That's right, it's conquering stuff. So what can we conquer? Korea. They conquer Korea, taking it from its previous owner, China, and then go a little bit further. And Russia rushes in out of nowhere and says, stop, no, you can't take that. We were going to build a railroad through here to try to get some warm water. And Russia builds their railroad, supervised by a shit ton of soldiers. And then when the railroad was done, they downgraded to a fuck ton. Did I say downgrade? I meant upgrade. And Japan says, can you maybe chill? And Russia says, how about maybe you chill? Japan is kind of scared of Russia. You'll never guess who's also kind of scared of Russia. Great Britain. So Japan and Great Britain make an alliance together so they can be a little less scared of Russia. Feeling confident, Japan goes to war against Russia, just for a moment, and then they both get tired and stop. It's time
Oh, that was
before. Regular. Ah, there you go.
to have a war. Because it's the 1900s and weapons are getting crazy, and all these empires are excited to try them out on each other. Meanwhile, Japan has been enjoying conquering stuff and wants war. The next thing on their list is this part of China and lots of tiny islands. All that stuff belongs to Germany, which just had war declared on Britain, because Britain was friends with Belgium, which was being trespassed by Germany in order to get to France to kick France's ass, because France is friends with Russia, who was getting ready to kick Austria's ass, because Austria was getting ready to
It's
kick
more
Serbia's
complicated
ass.
than Game of Thrones, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or actually a shot in the head. And Britain is currently friends with Japan, so you know what that means. Duh, Japan should take the islands, which they wanted to do anyway, so they called Britain on the telly to sort of let them know. And then they did it. And they also helped Britain a little here and there with some errands and stuff. Now the war is over, and congratulations, Japan, you technically fought in the war, which means you get to sit at the negotiating table with the big dudes, where they decided who owns what. And yes, Japan gets to keep all that shit they stole from Germany. You also get to join the post-war mega alliance, the League of Nations, to take over the world.
Yeah.
Depression is bad, and Japan's economy is now crappy, but the military is doing just fine, and it invades Manchuria, and the League of Nations is like, no, don't do that, if you're the
Ah, the Manchuria.
And Japan invaded more and more and more and more of China, and was planning to invade the entire East.
You've got mail.
It's from Germany, the new leader of Germany. He has a cool mustache, and he's trying to take over the world and needs friends. This also got forwarded to Italy. They all decided to be friends because they had so much in common. It's time for World War II. Germany is invading the neighbors. Then they invade the neighbors' neighbors. Then the neighbors' neighbors' neighbors, who happened to be Britain, said, holy shit. And the United States started helping Britain because they are friends, and started not helping Japan because their friends and our friends are not friends. And then they're invading the entire ocean. The United States is also working on a large, very huge bomb.
Oh.
Ever. Just
Yeah,
in
we know
case.
where this is
But they still haven't joined the war.
Yeah.
War looks bad on TV, and the United States is really starting to care about their image. But then Japan spits on them in Hawaii and challenges them to war. And they say yes. And then Germany, as a symbol of friendship, declares war on the United States also. So the United States goes to war in Europe, and they help the gang chase Germany back into Germany. And they also start chasing Japan back into Japan. And they haven't used the bomb yet and are curious to see if it works, so they drop it on Japan. Dash note 2.
Yep. Interesting, he didn't use any sort of humor around that one.
Kind of did.
No, he just. It's serious though.
Yeah. Notice
The
it.
United States
That was it,
company,
yeah.
inspired
Wow.
by the United States government, with just the right ingredients for a post-war economic miracle. And Japan starts making TVs, VCRs, automobiles, and camcorders as fast as they can, and also better than everybody else. They get rich, and the economy goes
Yeah.
wild, and
Yeah.
then the miracle wears off. But everything's still pretty cool, I guess.
Wait, Wait, was that it? That was it. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Wow. Okay.
That's a
So.
whole history in how many minutes?
Yeah, that was a lot. Here's my takeaway. This is what I learned the most here is the fact that we have a lot of wars. Actually, like almost the history of everything has always been a war.
And it's never stopped.
Yeah. So it's actually, in some sense, we are somewhat privileged to live in a time, well, at least our countries, America and Japan, live in a, sort of like a more modern civilization where we're not at war anymore.
Yeah.
In some sense. I mean, I know there are like secret wars and such.
Yes. Well, after World War II, we gave up the
right
to like fight
right.
in the war, so we can only defend ourselves, but we don't participate. Which I think is just that's a great, you know.
Well, for now. I mean, for now. I mean, I'm sure you keep up a little bit with what's going on back home. But you know, they're trying to ratify that part of the Constitution.
Yeah.
The Abe is like really trying to switch things up a little bit, and every country now is getting a little more conservative. I feel
Conservative.
There's conservative in like country first type of mentality.
Oh yeah.
Abe and Japan has been very much in that sort of line, even though they actually allowed young people to vote for the first time, younger people to vote for the first time ever. It actually pushed it more conservative, which is surprising to me. Britain left the EU, country first. America itself is having its own sort of civil war with black versus blue type of situation.
Yes.
There's Australia, and almost it's weird because for what I do in my job outside of YouTube, I actually teach adult Japanese students.
Okay.
So I have these like one-on-one conversations with entertainers and per TV producers, and we're just always talking about these sort of trends, what's going on in the rest of the world, and I don't know. I feel like a few years from now, I mean, we may be close to that next big. I don't want to say World War III, but some form of like, okay, it's been far too long that we haven't been in a war for territories. Like you just can't do that anymore. As far as our countries are concerned, because I know that happens in the Middle East, and I know that happens in parts of Georgia and Russia and such, but I learned a lot today.
Yeah,
like that.
too. But as for what you said, I hope it's not going to happen, because now with this technology, if there's World War III, we're going to be all gone.
Yeah. It's very possible. I mean, we have the nuclear situation, the Cold War that happened there. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, I believe, because I enjoy.
I hope we learned a lot to not to do that.
Right.
Maybe there are so many other ways. It's just, you know.
Well, I mean, I feel that, like Napoleon says, those that forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And I do sometimes feel like as time goes by, people tend to forget how bad war really is sometimes. And I know that, you know, I've been to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. I went twice, I believe. And it's one of those things of like, those that know how bad war really is would never want to see that happen again. And those that are kind of younger people coming up, they don't know the horrors of what war really is like. And you know, even with World War II, you had Japanese Americans living in America, and they were looked at like the same way maybe Muslims are treated nowadays. Of like, oh, you know, Japs this and Jap that, and like if you're a Japanese person, we're fighting your people, but it's like, I was born here, so.
And let's not forget, it's always this like small group of people causing the war, and then people who die, they usually have nothing to do with it.
It's a good point. No, you're absolutely right. It's a small group of people with interests for what they want that push sort of a propaganda that get the masses to fight for what they think they want, and those are the people that end up in the casualties like that. I thought that was actually really interesting about all those kings or emperors like dying left and right and people overtaking stuff. Like I never realized it was that crazy. Like, you
it's
know.
a great video to kind of get people interested in the history.
I think so, yeah.
The humor was really
yeah. Sometimes I thought it could have been a little slower, so I could have caught up a little bit quicker. But
then we couldn't even talk to each other because
right.
You know,
Right.
So, but it's great, and hopefully this is like okay, that's interesting.
So it was accurate though. It was accurate.
I think so. Like I said,
as far as it's concerned.
I'm sure people who made this video did a lot of research. That was, then a great sense of humor, I would say. You know?
Yeah, I think so. All right, guys. Well, we ordered something from Postmates. It's about to arrive. First time using these apps. We are hungry.
Yeah.
We are very, very hungry. Thanks for chilling out. If you want to see more about what Yuu has to say, what does your channel ideally feature?
Well, I started teaching Japanese, but since I'm an actress, I have my short films, and I recently started vlogging
on Snapchat or something?
No,
or
just talking in front of the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, myself. But I have this like thing. I like funny stuff, but I have like really dark like thing in my head too. So you know, it's just some people have to talk about serious stuff on YouTube too. So
that's a good one.
Yes.
And you know what? In fact, I volunteered to be on your channel, and let's get some interview stuff going.
Okay.
So if you guys are interested, I'll be popping over there momentarily, okay? We're out. Peace.
After an arduous journey, my movie finally made it to Japan. And without naming names, I'm completely out of budget for my sequel. But I need to find some budding movie talent. So I'm reaching out to Akasan, the red-dreaded beast himself, to see if we can find me some movie stars. Let's do this, Japan.